performing traditional rituals, along the road, they have this perception, or they start teaching their followers that these things are Ogwu, that has been prepared to cause or influence accidents along that particular road or terrain, not knowing the intentions behind the performance of these sacrifices. And majorly, the reason why this traditionalist is performing that sacrifice, it could be to ward off negative energies attached to him or her, or to basically free or to do some certain things that pertains to his life. He could be trying to clear his path. He could be trying to maybe get something, or pray for a successful or a peaceful journey, or whatever reason. But these people have this perception that traditionalists are doing it because of one purpose and one purpose alone, to negatively impact the life of other people. Now, this is a misconception. So, Gini Ogwu in Igbo ancestral perception, Ogwu is the mythical science of alchemy. So you can call Ogwu alchemy. This is because it entails the transmutation of energies within herbs and roots into a configuration or a mechanism, and makes it to operate on a command in order to manifest an intention or an illusion that could be regarded as something that exists beyond human capacity or capabilities. Now, what this thing is trying to say here is that when we're talking about Ogwu, what we see the Dibịa doing is the Dibịa brings in roots, the Dibịa brings in herbs, and they are pushing all those things together, killing it, sacrificing the blood, or putting it into a box or oko. And the reason why they are doing this is that they are trying to transmute or to harness the energies that reside within those roots and those herbs, and they are channeling it into a configuration. It could be into a pot, it could be into an effigy. They are channeling those, the energies they are extracted from those items and pushing it into those effigies and giving it to a command to act on a certain instruction. Now, this instruction that they are telling this Ogwu to perform, it is something we consider to be either an illusion, or it's something that we consider to be beyond the human capacity. It's something that human beings cannot do on their own. So when the Dibịa is doing all those things and giving it those commands, its manifestation has to be something that bewilds the mind. It is something that has to make the mind, or the ofeke, the non-initiates, to marvel at the wonder of the Dibịa. So this is majorly one of the interpretations of Ogwu. Now, secondly, Ogwu defiles the natural principles of doing and achieving things. Therefore, one of the inherent functions and roles of the Dibịa is the creation of Ogwu, the procurement of Ogwu, the preparation of Ogwu, and the administration of Ogwu. This becomes one of the major roles of a Dibịa. Now, you also need to recognize the fact that we have different aspects of the Dibịahood or the Dibịaship. So the Dibịa that falls within this categorization of Dibịa Ogwu, one of its role, or one of his or her roles, is the creation of Ogwu, the procurement of Ogwu, the preparation of Ogwu, and the administration of Ogwu. Now, this means that the Dibịa uses these instruments, roots, herbs, and other items to create it. Now, the procurement means that this Dibịa goes into the thick forest, goes into places that human beings might be too afraid to venture in, to get the necessary items needed for the configuration of the Ogwu. And the procurement and the preparation, it's almost similar, because every step, every kind of Ogwu functions with a certain principle. It means that you have to put in this and put this in. Now, if you put this and put this within a specific time frame, and if you don't do this, you could basically create a lapse that would probably destroy the validity or the virality of the Ogwu. So each preparation of Ogwu follows a certain principle that is known to the Dibịa and the Dibịa alone. So this is where the preparation of the Ogwu and the administration of the Ogwu. This means that some of the Ogwu that we are making, that we use in our culture and tradition, it follows a principle, things that you as the person that are preparing it for, it's supposed to follow, laws or rules on some moralities, principles that you are supposed to follow. So what the Dibịa does here is that after creating this, after procuring, creating and preparing it, when the Dibịa is administrating it, it is going to tell you, don't do this, don't do that. If you do this or you do that, you would spoil the virality of this Ogwu. And this Ogwu can be administered in different forms. It could be given into an Ọgwụ. It could be given by channeling it into an effigy. It could be administered on an individual's body. We call it Ọgwụ now. They can administer it by, putting it inside your body using some sharp objects. So they have different ways how they administer it. Some people even eat their Ogwu. So it depends on the Dibịa and what he is preparing for, the Ogwu that he or she is preparing, and the reasons why the Ogwu is being prepared. Now, Ogwu is also the ultimate solution beyond what we call Onataluchi, faith, destiny, and Akaraka. So this means here is that when the individual sees that life is becoming too hard or too stagnant for the individual, now our spiritual system creates a provision where this individual could use Ogwu to be able to promote the standard of his living. Now, I'm not just making reference to materialism or people that engage in Ogwu, which is something I would never actually tell anybody to engage in. There are so many things that Ogwu can enhance. It could be health-wise. It could be, peace between families. Maybe there's a family where there is issue of the anazwani, or there is one or two issues in the family. They can involve a Dibịa who is going to bring in some sort of an Ogwu and swear every member of that family to an oath to ensure that peace returns to that family. So Ogwu helps to improve our standard of living beyond what has been predestined and provided for us on Ataluchi. Now, as Igbo, it is also important for us to identify or to know that Ogwu is divided into two forms. The first one is, I just call it Ogwu. Now, the second one is Ajo Ogwu. We even have the third one, Ogwu. Ogwu. I called it Ogwu because I don't want to start differentiating, and I said Ezigbo Ogwu and Ajo Ogwu. But when I say Ogwu, I'm making reference to configurations that are not used malignantly, or configurations that are not used in ways whereby it is not supposed to be used. So this Ogwu now could mean simply something as simple as Ogwu that they used to protect themselves, something like I've forgotten this thing. This Ogwu that when they try to kill you, if they shoot a gun at you and it could save your life or something. Although nature, it depends on when you want to do it. So it depends on when you want to configure that particular Ogwu, that nature deems it acceptable for you to do it. So I just put it, even the Ogwu that with the roots and the herbs that we drink, it falls under this category of Ogwu. Ogwu that you use to protect what belongs to you, it falls under this category of Ogwu. Ogwu that you use to protect yourself, it falls under the category of Ogwu. Then Ajo Ogwu are Ogwu that are malignantly configured to be used to negatively impact the life of other people. Ogwu now falls within the category of Ogwu that are beyond human capability, that you're not supposed to get yourself involved in because of the magnitude or because of the transmutation, the level of energy that it requires for you to basically configure or use or maintain the virality of that Ogwu. Now, each of these categories is identified by the intentions channeled towards it. Now, for instance, the Igbo word for modern medicine, which I just mentioned down, it's Ọgwụ. If I go to the chemist shop and say I need an Ọgwụ, I just say I need Ọgwụ, and they gives it to me, and that's it. And they give it to me. Then I can now say, okay, look at my symptoms, look at what I'm having. This is the kind of medicine I'm looking for. Then I could now have that conversation. But if I just go to a pharmacist, a chemist, and says, actually, he's going to just tell you which kind or what and they would now prescribe the right medications for me. So, like I was saying, these variations of Ogwu that we have, it's dependent solely on the intentions that are being channeled, the intention why you want this particular Ogwu. Now, like I've said here, now the word for modern medicine is Ogwu, while in terms of herbal medicine, we could call it Ogwu. This is when you're now talking to the traditional doctor. You now said, Ogwu, this one, do you have that one? They will now prepare it by, using roots and herbs, and they're going to give it to you. Now, Ogwu is applied and procured by a certain grade of Dibịa that we refer to as Dibịa. These are the people that procure and they apply Ogwu. Now, the obvious intention for this configuration, like I said, is to save, heal, and prevent illness. To save, to heal, and to prevent illness. This is why this category of Ogwu exists. In other contexts, the configuration of Ogwu could be targeted at a different phenomenon other than health, as it could be channeled towards the protection of life, like I mentioned, and properties. Hence, in this context, we can refer to Ogwu as a healthy option or as an ultimate solution towards the preservation of life. So when I'm making reference to Ogwu, we're talking about, things, configurations that are targeted at saving life, healing, and protecting lives and property. So at the end of the day, its main concern is to preserve the quality of life. Now, within the context of Ogwu, the intention towards it is malignant and is designed to cause havoc on an individual, a family, or a community. Now, another word for Ogwu is where we now have ekonse, onse, and Ogwu. Now, Ogwu, it has a little variation in the sense that it is not strictly targeted at making, a person's life miserable. Ogwu could fall towards the aspect of ifaj, the psychic infliction of dizziness. When you come to environments like Ebaneti, where they are performing masquerade activities, we could see a masquerade and a masquerade doing this ifaj. Now, for them to be able to make it possible, whatever they are using falls within this category of Ogwu. It could be for entertainment. And again, another thing there is, it's when we now make reference to people in our Ogwu. What they are doing is that they are trying to forcefully engage in Ogwu activities that does not follow the natural or the neutral principles of doing things. I think that's the best definition for Ogwu. People that engage in activities that does not follow the natural principles of Chi Lezumezu. So this is where the category of Ogwu strictly resides. Now, Nse or Ekonse, it's synonymous with the word poison. Ekonse, it's poison. Now, the most beautiful thing there, or let's say the funny thing about Ogwu is that it is also derived from herbs. Ekonse when you see this certain kind of I call them arorana Dibias, malignant Dibias, people that use their knowledge, their gift for evil and malignant and negative purposes, we'll see here that they are rooted in knowing the natural principles of how things are done. This is why our ancestors have this aphorism: Dibịa ọbụna na-agwọ agwọ ga-egbu egbu. A Dibịa that can heal you can also kill you. This is because they have the knowledge of roots and herbs that they can apply and give you, and it is going to save your life. And they know the roots and herbs that are going to give you, and it is going to serve as a poison to your body system. Now we have a natural antibody, or we have a natural roots or herbs that fights against nse. This is manu ojugu. It's an antidote that is obtained specifically from a type of palm nut or palm fruit. Palm nut or palm fruit known as Ọgwụ ojugu. Now, when they now synthesize it, we now bring out the oil. It will now become manu ojugu. It's a natural antidote against poisons. Now, let's switch back to Ogwu. Now, remember that I said that Ogwu, it is not necessarily applies to malevolence or something that it is malignant. Now, Ogwu, in many cases, falls within the context of entertainment, like I said before. Ọgwụ, the psychic inflation of dizziness, which also tallies with this Ọgwụ, which is usually performed by the Dibịa and the masquerades. Now, it adds an element of intrigue and an element of entertainment to Igbo cultural performance. So it falls hugely within this aspect of entertaining, but it is not really advisable. Now let's continue. Another harmless aspect of this Ogwu is attributed to the benevolent charms that can be instituted or used in extreme situations. In cases of Igba enwuzu, it is viewed as a form of a sympathetic magic. That's what I just referred to it as. The form is a sympathetic magic. It is a form of sacrificing one thing in order to save another thing. It could mean sacrificing rams. It could mean sacrificing cows and using their energy to save the life of another person, a living human being. Now, this particular thing, it is not done by women, it is done by men, because they are the only people that have the energy, the strength, the spiritual strength, the spiritually king to perform these kinds of ritual. This is because of the energy it will draw from the person that is performing the ritual. So any charm that falls within this category of Ogwu, it is something that it takes from the individual that is configuring or that is performing that particular activity. Now, the institution of Ogwu, it is not culturally acceptable, but in times of war, this is weird. As I'm trying to make reference to Udesh, I'm trying to make. This is when nature permits, the inflation or the activation of such kinds of Ogwu. Now, these things that I now talked about, it works under certain circumstances. It is not done because you have the knowledge or you have the strength to carry them out. It is done because nature permits you to engage in this particular Ogwu. So I talked about the three variations of Ogwu, Ajo Ogwu, and Ogwu. Now, in my next video, I'm going to talk about why we are not encouraged, the reasons why we are not encouraged to perform or to engage in Ọgwụ. Most of these Ọgwụ, especially Ogwu, but it's going to be another topic for another video. So I'm going to stop here, and if you have any questions on Ọgwụ and Ọgwụ activities, I would like to hear from you. So please send me a DM or leave a comment, and I'm going to respond to you. So until next time, you can also get my book on China Izumezu or Ihe Dimibu. Now, this particular book talked about this Ọgwụ. gives an in-depth knowledge of Ogwu, and Chinezumezu is also an accomplishing book that also talks about the spiritual system of Igbo and how we basically operate concepts. And while when I talk about when Ogwu functions outside the natural principles of Chi, the Zumezu, this is where I'm talking about. This talks about Chinezumezu, natural principles that our ancestors used and they lived a fulfilled life. Then Ogwu becomes a variation when you want to live beyond such means and such necessities. So until next time, don't forget, I'm still going to continue this topic on reasons why we don't engage in Ogwu and Ogwu activities and other lessons to be learned. So until next time, yeah guys, do well to subscribe and like and follow all my social media, and I'll meet you in my next video. Yeah guys,